Are you interested in getting into bot trading? Try crowtrader.com right now and download version 1.2.1, now available for free. Download Windows, Mac, or Linux version and experiment on Coinbase Pro and Binance Legacy with new exchanges coming very soon. And learn how to use the bot before you've ever paid a dime. Download 1.2.1 now, free at crowtrader.com. What's up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. I am the Crypto Crow. I am live at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on December 31st. It is almost 2021, and I'm not doing anything tonight. Talk to the wife. We have no plans. We're not going anywhere. We're probably just going to be bored as hell watching New Year's happen on television, which is common for us because we typically don't like going out into the crazy world of New Year's, all the drunk driving and all that. But I am curious to see how Rona changes New Year's this time around. Want to get everybody a couple of quick updates before I get into this. As you'll see behind me, Alex Mashinsky's retweeted this. What is going to be an epic event? We have made it happen. We are going to have Charles Hoskinson of Cardano and Alex Mashinsky of Celsius Network together live with me on this channel on January 4th at 6 p.m. Eastern. I don't even know what to say about this other than I've been trying to grind Alex down for a while to get Cardano added to Celsius Network. And we've talked about it several times over the past, I don't know, maybe year and a half. And finally he says, listen, get Charles on a live with me and you, and we'll make it happen. And so we're gonna, it looks like this might be happening. This is gonna be big news. It's gonna be big news for Celsius, and it's gonna be even bigger news for Cardano, I think. And you know, I've been extremely bullish on both of these projects basically since inception. Celsius Network definitely since inception. I was a little behind when it came to Cardano, but this is big stuff, man. And 2021 just looks like it's going to be a very, very interesting and exciting year for many. I do have a video that I'm going to be doing likely tomorrow about Bitcoin exit. I'm going to share some strategies on actually watching the market and getting an idea as to when you may or may not exit any of your crypto positions, especially Bitcoin, based off of some technical analysis that's going to be very easy for anybody to follow. So look for that tomorrow. Quick update on my growth DeFi. I did a video on that yesterday. Looks like I'm at it says 160.44% APY. Value of my holdings currently is up to 71.98. So I know after I did the video yesterday that it looks like there was a decent chunk of volume. People were taking an interest and hopefully doing their own research and then getting in, and then the whole market started to come down a bit for a little bit of a correction, including the GROW token, but I'm still above where I entered. So just a friendly little update that I have invested my second ever DeFi platform. I just like I said in the video yesterday, I talked to one of the founders for over an hour, had a really good talk. The community is so passionate about this, and everybody's very helpful. DeFi is a complicated thing, and I never claimed to be an expert in DeFi. This is all relatively new to me because I've honestly shied away from it for so long. But I'm hoping that I'm able to learn a lot more about DeFi and all the various nuances of it through my interactivity with the GROW token and Growth DeFi. Again, this isn't paid. I'm just sharing it with you. Now to get to the meat of this, because this is, if you're watching this now, stay through the end. Okay, I'm telling you, stay through to the end. Don't jump to conclusions, because I see these videos talking about crypto safe havens where you can go to not pay taxes on your crypto. And let's just say that while that's very interesting, there's a big kicker at the end of this video that I'm going to make everybody aware of. But first, I'm going to educate you, because if you don't live in the United States, then this could very well help you. If you do live in the United States, I'm going to tell you now, it sounds good, but it's not going to help you. And I'll explain why at the very end. And this isn't going to be very long. We're only 5 minutes in. So the first country, and this is actually one that I thought sounded fantastic. And maybe someday in the distant future, my wife and I will go there. I know this is where Nuno of Utrust lives, where their base of operations are. Portugal. In Portugal, basically, you don't pay crypto taxes. There are no capital gains on crypto taxes. But what I do understand about Portugal is that their corporate taxes are a bit high. And so it is what it is. But while citizens are under no obligation to pay income tax when exchanging crypto to fiat, the PTA, however, indicated that businesses which accept digital cryptocurrencies as payment for goods and services are liable to paying taxes such as VAT and income tax. Corporate taxes in Portugal, as I understand it, are a little bit higher than we might be used to, at least in the US. Germany. Germany is a pretty good safe haven for crypto traders and investors. Europe's biggest economy regards Bitcoin as private money, contrary to the widespread view in most developed countries which look at crypto as a currency, commodity, or equity. In Germany, private sales that do not exceed 600 euros are tax-free. Businesses, however, are still obliged to pay. Businesses are always going to get it. And because businesses have a lot of extra vehicles for writing off expenses, your business expenses and things like that. So, the companies are always going to get it at least at face value. You're going to have to do a little bit more work. But you have a lot more flexibility there. Personal taxes, personal income, or personal capital gains, stuff like that. It's a lot more tricky to get around that, and a lot of these countries they're just saying no, we're not going to charge you. If you hold Bitcoin for more than 1 year in Germany, you won't have to pay any taxes on it. So it's similar to like in the US, the longer you hold a cryptocurrency asset, the less capital gains tax you'll pay on it. But you're always going to pay something. So that's just kind of how that is there. Singapore's third on this list. Another country that basically now they may be changing some things relatively soon, but we'll have to wait and see. Nobody really knows for sure. Both individuals and corporations who hold Bitcoin or other digital assets as long-term investments are not taxed in Singapore, simply because capital gains tax does not exist in the city-state itself. And it's like, I just have to wonder, why does the US do this to us? Why does the United States make it so difficult? Why is the United States basically considered the American dream? What is this American dream? And is that even still a thing anymore? I mean, more and more, I feel like the chains are just being wrapped around us on so many different levels, and we're just being milked and bled in every possible way, while all these politicians are throwing billions and trillions of dollars to everybody but us. Like, what are we doing? I just don't understand. I'm not even going to get into it, but it really does disgust me. I feel like if our government were a little bit more favorable of its citizens, I don't know, I just think taxation wouldn't be as big of a deal, but we're constantly being bled at every turn. If we make $1, we're lucky to keep 20 cents of that. Between all the taxation that we suffer through in this country, I mean, it's just crazy. We're told we're free, but really, are we? I mean, I feel like we're only as free as we can afford to be in this country. I mean, really, that's how I look at it all. As with neighboring Singapore, there are no capital gains taxes in Malaysia. Cryptocurrency trades involving cash or another digital asset are not taxed in the Southeast Asian country. However, this will likely change if Bitcoin is recognized as legal tender in Malaysia, as has been rumored in the local press in recent months. Next on the list is Belarus. In the Eastern European country of Belarus, a new law that came into effect in March of 2018 legalized cryptocurrency, exempting individuals and businesses from any form of taxation for dealing in or with digital financial assets in whatever way, at least until 2023. So maybe you've got a little bit of a safe haven there for the next couple of years anyway. Slovenia. For Slovenia, the tax system for individuals and companies involved with Bitcoin is rather different. While no capital gains is levied on citizens for the sale of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, they are still expected to pay income tax regardless of the currency being exchanged. Which that's pretty common as well from what I see. I mean, if you receive, let's say you receive Bitcoin because you sold somebody a car and you accepted Bitcoin for it, well, The good news is, while you may pay income tax on that, if that Bitcoin and you hold it, well, then you're probably not going to be paying any difference. So if you believe in Bitcoin, you're like, I'm going to sell this car for 1 Bitcoin, and then it goes up to $100,000. At least you're not going to have to pay capital gains. You're not going to get milked both ways. Only countries that are very greedy and apparently don't know how to manage the funds properly do that to their citizens. I mean, I'm just guessing. I don't know. Malta. Now, from what I understand, Malta is very expensive to live. The famed blockchain island of Malta does not tax long-held digital currencies, either for capital gains or VAT. However, crypto trades executed within the day are considered similar to day trading in stocks or foreign exchange, attracting taxes business income at a rate of 35%. Wow, so Malta's expensive, man. You can do a lot more stuff there, apparently. But, you know, I'm cracking jokes about the U.S. basically paying, you know, you kind of have to pay for your freedom. If you can't afford it, you're probably not going to be very free. I mean, that's just my own opinion. Sounds like Malta's kind of similar, but at least they give you outlets. And they're very direct. It almost, I think when you go to Malta, you get a menu and you could just basically price out exactly what freedoms you want and what you want to get away with over there in terms of cryptocurrencies, because that's where a lot of big, well-funded cryptocurrency companies go to, especially exchanges, because you could pretty much just pay the bills and you know what I'm saying. Finally on this list, in Switzerland, one of Europe's crypto havens, qualified individuals that buy, sell, or hold cryptocurrencies for personal benefit are not required to pay tax on their capital gains. However, income from mining, considered self-employment income, is taxed through income tax. Profitable crypto trading by qualified professionals is subject to corporate tax, while wages paid in Bitcoin must be declared for income tax purposes. So, I mean, of all of these, if you were legitimately looking to go somewhere and basically save some money in taxes, it looks like Portugal might be the big winner. However, here's the kicker. And this is something that I never see anybody talk about. If you are a United States citizen and you think you're going to just move to Portugal because, at the peak of the market, I'm going to move to Portugal, cash out all my crypto positions, and then I'm going to save a bunch of money on my taxes? Wrong. Because if you are a United States citizen, if you are an American living abroad, this means that as a U.S. citizen, you must file a U.S. federal tax return and pay U.S. taxes no matter where you live at the time. In other words, you are subject to the same rules regarding income taxation as people living stateside. What they're basically saying is you don't get to live in the United States and enjoy all the freedoms you can afford, move to another country to avoid taxation in the United States, and then maybe come back later. No, if you try to do that, what's going to happen is you're going to go abroad, you're going to cash everything out, you're going to try and come back to the United States, and you're going to get a bill from the IRS. Because if you don't pay it, if you don't pay the taxes due to where you are a citizen, which is the United States, even if you've got a little land, you did what you need to become a kind of quote unquote citizen of another country, you would have to completely renounce your citizenship in the United States, then comply with all the regulations, restrictions, requirements of becoming a resident in this other country. So if you were to try and just go off to Portugal for say, and then come back, the United States is going to say, you owe us all this tax money and you're not welcome back until you pay it. And if I'm not, and I could stand corrected, but I think Roger Ver of Bitcoin Cash, I think he experienced something like this, which is one of the reasons why he's never come back to the US as I understand it. I used to be really hard on Roger Ver early on when I first got into crypto because I felt like he was very very arrogant, very mean and so forth. But come to find out, the more I've learned about the guy, the more I actually kind of respect him. Apparently he caught a case for something related to fireworks years and years ago. And I guess they threw the book at him for whatever reason. I guess because he was very loudmouth to everybody that was, arresting him, taking him. He was very like, tinfoil hat, like this country's trying to ruin people. I don't know exactly all the details. But I guess he moved to another country, made a bunch of money in Bitcoin Cash. And when he tried to come back, they tried to give him a bill. And he's like, I'm not paying that bill. I'm staying where I'm at, and I'm never coming back to the United States. And apparently he hasn't. So that's the reality of how things are. If you think you're going to be able to avoid paying cryptocurrency taxes when you cash out at the peak of the market by moving off to some other country for 6 months or a year or whatever, and come back with all your newfound wealth to buy and live in the glorious United States, it's not going to work that way, folks. So I just want to make sure that that is abundantly clear. Now, how you handle your taxes, whether it's capital gains tax, bot trading taxes, which is all capital gains. Like if you're trading on a bot, and keep in mind, I'm not a licensed anything. I'm not a tax accountant. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm none of that stuff. I'm just some old dude on the interwebs talking to you on YouTube, pointing you in directions to continue doing your own research. Talk to your CPA or your accountant. Talk to your financial advisor. Learn how to plan and schedule what it is you're trying to accomplish and when, and they'll at least be able to help you make things a little easier. Because I'll tell you right now, when I cashed out in the last bull market, I ended up with a huge tax bill that I was not prepared for. And I'm not going to lie to you. I had to take out a home equity line. I had to sell my nice car. And I had to get those taxes paid because the clock was ticking. I know we had to put part of it on like a payment plan that we finally got taken care of. It was not fun. And I didn't know. I didn't know how it all worked. And so now that I do, I know when you cash out, make sure you cash out and you take a chunk of it and just prepay your taxes if you can. And then get a refund if when you filed your taxes, and it comes up, oh, well, you prepaid more than you needed to. It's a lot easier than the other way around. So, but talk to your tax accountant, talk to the people, talk to the professionals that can help guide you, and do it before you cash out. Because depending on where you live, whether it's a state thing, a federal thing, a income tax thing, or a capital gains tax thing, or whatever, there are a lot more tools today that can help calculate what you owe and what to do than there were even 3 years ago. So make sure that you do that, because it'll save you a lot of headache. I'm not going to lie, when I said I was crying for 2 weeks, I really was. I was broken. So, yeah, it was bad. And so, this time around, I mean, a part of our strategy, I think, is likely going to be to invest in property. I mean, that's it, because there are tax things, basically. I'm not a tax guy. I'm just kind of going off of what I've been told. But, basically, if you cash out and you're putting that profit directly back into the company, and you're accumulating property and so forth and so on, then it becomes an expense that you can then write off in different ways and so forth. So you just got to get a plan together, especially if you think anything you're cashing out is going to be significant in any way. But yeah, if you think you're going to live in the United States and then go off to some other country, cash out your crypto and not pay any taxes on it, and then come back, it's not going to work out. And I never see anybody talk about that, because it's not the big hoorah thing that gets those comments in the YouTube videos. But it sounds great. And if you're not in the US and you're somewhere else and you can get away with doing that, sure. But if there's anything true, and what is it? There's nothing more definite than death and taxes in the United States. That's an absolute fact, because you're not getting out of it. I've just learned, I think, my wife and I recently went to Miami. It was like my second vacation ever. And we're looking around and we're like, this is the place to live. This is the place to live, because it's so nice there, and there's so much culture there, and there's just so much, the weather is nice, and everything is just so much better than where we live now. And we thought about, moving to a different country, honestly, because I just feel like the world's going to shit. And I'm like genuinely concerned. I'm concerned for the well-being of everybody with what's going on right now. And it's been a very deep, like, emotional struggle for me, because I'm like watching so much stuff unfold. and it's just been it's just been very, very scary, and I don't know where we're heading. And I'm like I don't know. Do we need to just go somewhere else? You know, like what do we do? And but I mean, I think at this point I'm so old. I mean, I'm not that old, but I'm old enough that I'm like, I just want to live somewhere nice. And I think after the market peaks out and we exit, we're just gonna plan, pay the taxes, be done with it, and then just kind of retire somewhere like where we can enjoy our lives and just be done. I don't know. I want to get into game development. I want to get into like other things that are much less stressful, because a lot of this stuff it's super stressful. Even though it's life changing, it's everything that goes with it. It's extremely stressful because you never know from one day to the next, like what's okay and what's not, and what's gonna create problems and what isn't. And I just feel like it's just not really worth it, I think. I mean, it is, but it's not. As long as you play your cards right. It's one of the reasons why I try to be so completely upfront and transparent about anything. I don't want anybody to ever be able to say, oh, Crow, you said this and that wasn't true. No, that's bullshit, because I call it all how I see it. And I don't know. Even talking about taxation, I'm fearful. I'm fearful that YouTube's not going to like it, because I'm talking, little comments and things that you make on the cuff. It's like, I feel like I'm in this weird world now where you can't say anything, you can't do anything. People are getting canceled all the time for no reason at all. It's just like the culture, man. It's just, it's stressful, and it's truly disgusting. So it is what it is, but that's only 22 minutes. Let me take a quick look at chat and see if I'm missing anything where I can be helpful. Looking forward to the Hoskinson-Mashinsky interview. I am too. I think that's going to be absolutely epic. Watching 2 streams at once, also listening to Celsius near year 24-hour live stream. Happy New Year's, Crow. Don't have too many drinks like you did the last time you did a live with Charles. I told him, I was like, Charles, I've been drinking tonight. I've been stressed. My wife's got me drunk. And he's like, let's do it. Let's have some fun. So we did. And he demonstrated the massaging of cows during that live stream. It's become a meme. So yeah, it was funny. Short summary of Celsius. How do you not know? It's basically an app where you can you can do crypto loans. You can loan your crypto. You can stake it. You can generate a yield on what you're staking on their app. I mean, all kinds of stuff. I mean, Celsius Network has become kind of like the brand name for crypto loans and staking. Might have to move to Puerto Rico like Mark Moss. Did he move to Puerto Rico? I didn't know that. That's interesting. I have to talk to him about it. See what he thinks of it. I talk a lot of shit about this country just based off of, like, I think a lot of it is just the politics of it. This whole right versus left and just all the crazy stuff associated with it, and the way that the extremely wealthy can almost dictate and control what the general public thinks, says, and does is scary. I don't even know how much of it is a governmental thing as much as it is the way we are structured as a country is, just everything goes to the highest bidder. I feel like, the United States overall is a company. I'm pretty sure it's a Delaware corporation, if I'm not mistaken. And it's ran like that. And it's like, I don't know, just the way everything is scares me. And the older I get, the more concerned I get, because, there's going to come a time when I'm not going to have the power, the influence, the mobility, the ability to defend myself or my family or whatever. You know what I mean? And it's like, the crazier this stuff gets, the more concerned I am. And that's one of the reasons why I'm trying to do everything I can to play my cards right, to generate the wealth that I can in this transition of wealth that we're in the middle of right now, and trying to stay abreast of what's happening from, taxation to regulation to, transition from fiat paper money to digital assets and all of that stuff. I want to be prepared, and I want to make sure that my family is prepared. And I try to share as much of that as I can with the obvious clickbait filler feed videos every now and then just to keep the algorithm in my favor as best I can, and so. And I always try to. It's like when you are in an environment where every YouTuber out there, whether they're in crypto or not, are constantly talking about the censorship of these different platforms and how everybody is having to use different words for other words because they don't want some algorithm to pick it up and shut their videos down. It's happened to all of us. And then when you live in a place that's supposedly free, yet it's all basically controlled by mega corporations, that's a fascist society. And that scares me. That truly scares me. And there's so many levels to that. There's so many elements to that concern me. And I don't feel that corporations should be in charge of what the public thinks and feels. We have been programmed since youth, since very, very early on to think and act a certain way. This whole idea of beauty, sexuality, love, consumerism, all of this stuff is guided in very narrow fields, and we're all being trained and told to be something specific. And what all that boils down to, in my opinion, is worker bees for those with the power, the money, and the control to keep us in line that way. I was watching Star Wars on the plane, and there was a line in the movie that said they beat us by making us think we're alone. And I think that almost drew a tear, because I see so much of that. The more we can be divided as a society, the more power they have over what we think and feel, because it's this group think mentality that if you can control kind of the leaders of these groups, you can control everyone that follows them. There is no real such thing anymore as individualism, because as soon as somebody shows individualism, they are burned at the stake or canceled. And it's a very controlled culture that so many people buy into because it plays into whatever narrative they've already subscribed to. And the worse that gets, the more scary this world is going to become, because there's going to become a time when all somebody has to do is snap their fingers and say 2 words, and the entire world could be at war. And that concerns me. And, it's like I've had a lot of people say things to me about, oh, I had no idea that you were a Trump supporter. No, it's not about me being a Trump supporter, because I'm not necessarily a Trump supporter. I am against a lot of the corruption and a lot of the ways all of these things have transpired over the past year, even, or longer. When there's so much obvious, blatant evidence to support a multitude of claims, in my opinion anyway, I feel like that's when things get scary. That's when things, we should not be controlled in that sense. And I am one who believes that the individual is often much more powerful than the group in some instances. And that should not be thwarted or shut down or confined. And we're trained to be a part of a groupthink mentality from youth. And so, I actually just got off the phone before I went live earlier this afternoon with Kiana Danielle, who's like the Invest Diva. She's been on my channel. She spoke at Chainwise for me. Just a super sweet, super intelligent, super great gal. And, I'm going to be doing something for, we're still trying to figure out, I'm going to be doing something for her next week. She's got this kind of $1 million family event, and she wants me to speak. And she asked me what I'd like to speak on. And I said, one of the things that's been hitting home for me the most recently is the idea that we're trained from very early on to not be wealthy. We're trained from very early on to put our lives into the hands of those that are supposed to be looking out for us and letting them dictate our place in life. And we have something called imposter syndrome. Joe Rogan has talked about it a lot on his channel. I've felt it. You know, when my channel really started to blow up and I was just making really good money and things were going really, really well, I would lose it. I would break down. I broke down so many times because I thought to myself, do I deserve this? What is it that's creating all of this? And I just, it's one of those things where you don't want to believe it's true because you don't want it to go away. You don't want it to end. And you don't know if you deserve it. What have you done to merit the attention, the success, the financial whatever, like any of it? And apparently it's something that a lot of people suffer from. And I believe that a lot of us suffer through that. I still suffer through it to some extent, even though I haven't been making much money in like 3 years or over 2 years. And, you know, I've basically been doing what I can to try and accumulate over the course of the bear market. But it's this idea that we're programmed since very early on to work for other people, to put our very existence into the hands of people that we work to aspire to be like, but could never achieve. And it's this rat race, this corporate American rat race. And so, I think to myself, that is what's important, because as we aspire to change our lives, as we aspire to make more money, to build wealth, to find financial stability, in a world that does not want us to be financially stable, they want us to be consumers. They want us to make money, spend it, and pay it all away in taxes. And rinse and repeat. That's why we're constantly being sold things that we don't need. We're constantly being pushed to buy stuff that doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything, but it gives us status. It gives us this sense of importance in the midst of everyone else that is the same way. And it's this rat race that drives us. That's not what drives me. That's not why I do what I do. I do what I do not because I want to make trillions of dollars and control the world. I do what I do because I just want to be left the fuck alone. I do what I do because I want to be able to try and help change the lives of those around me, to try and make the world around me better. That's why I do what I do. I don't want to be king of the world and control everybody. And it's like, I don't have that mentality. I'm very much a lift up those around me kind of mentality. It's the way I've always been. It's why I've done well in sales. It's because my goals, my interest has always been the same. And I think to myself, it's a very difficult road sometimes to be that way. And I think, yeah, that's kind of what I want to start talking about. I want to start talking about the idea that if you can lose this mentality of, I want to control the world, I want to be super wealthy because I want to be better than, bigger than, or more powerful than those around me, that is when you'll start finding real success. And it will just happen. It will happen by accident, because if your intentions are pure, you won't have to fight as hard to get there. And I almost feel like when you go into something with intentions to ruin, control, destroy, it becomes this cesspool of negativity that you're always fighting, and it eats to you at your core. And that's what starts changing people. That's why they say absolute power corrupts absolutely, because it's that mentality of, it's just a very, very bad place, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I'm not even a religious person, but I'm a spiritual person to some extent. And I believe that what we put out into the world, we get back. And I think that ultimately that creates a cycle. And if you create a negative cycle around yourself, then your life becomes more miserable, you become more damning, and you basically start perpetuating this self-fulfilling prophecy of just negativity. And then you start to spread that. And I don't know, man. I think I've been doing so much soul searching, and I've been extremely emotional the past few weeks. Because where we're at in the market and what I see coming and the changes that I see happening both excite me and scare me to such a degree that I want to plan. I want to accomplish that plan. and I want to move on with my life, and I want to have helped and kind of like whenever the day comes where I'm like out of crypto and I'm just done with it all and I've sealed up everything is good, and I walk away, I want to look over my shoulder, and I have this idea, I want to look over my shoulder with a bunch of people waving, happy, cheering, like I did something here. That is what really drives me. That is one of the big reasons why I continue doing this, even through the bear market, when so many content creators in the crypto space were like, oh, there's no money in it, I'm not doing it. You know, that's not why I'm here. That's not why I started this channel to begin with. I never started this channel thinking I was going to be doing everything that I ultimately ended up doing. And that's one of the reasons why I stayed and why I continued putting out content and doing the best I could to keep the algorithm going, even though all of the views were going down and everything else was going down. So yeah, I don't know. I was not at all expecting to go on like a 15-minute ramble. Sometimes I just dump on some of you guys with my thoughts and what's going on in my head. And sometimes it's just therapeutic to like look at chat and, you know, to see that there are people listening to my nonsense. How would you invest $1,000 in crypto? Well, I get that question a lot. I love you too, Clarence Thomas. Every time I see your name, I giggle inside. Clarence Thomas. Yeah. I really do. I try to just be as straight up as I can and share my thoughts, but you know, I don't know. It is what it is. I will be doing a video, I think tomorrow, on some simple exit strategies that will help everybody at least kind of look in the right direction. Curtis Review 2020. I don't know. People are saying it was the AK from yesterday. I don't know. Look, guys, there are some people in the world who just, I don't know. They don't feel accomplished unless they've spread some sort of negativity or hate. And honestly, when I see people in chat and they get so much enjoyment off of just being negative to other people in the comments, or I have to think those are generally people who have it really rough for some reason, and they expose themselves by being so extremely negative, because I know this sounds terrible, and I'm not even picking on anybody, but anybody that I've ever known to be that way are often abused. They're often struggling in a lot of ways, and in some cases it's them just trying to reach out. I've actually had people in the past that would troll me on like YouTube or troll me on Twitter, and instead of just going at them like F you, you're a piece of garbage, blah 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 blah, I've sent messages and I've said, hey, what's up with you? Like, what's your real issue? What's happening? And I would say if I did that 5 times, 4 of those times somebody would respond like, oh my god, I had no idea you would respond to me. I was just having some fun. I just wanted to see if you even noticed, and that sort of thing. I mean, some people are just, they're so desperate to be acknowledged, and they know that being negative is the easiest way to get noticed. And often those people have to resort to that because they don't feel they have anything better to offer. And while it's easy sometimes to look at some of these folks and think, oh, you're terrible, you're a troll, sometimes they make me chuckle, but deep down I feel bad, because I think I was a kid once, and some of these people are grown men and women, and they troll others online because it's anonymous and they can say and do whatever they want. And for whatever reason, it gives themselves a bit of a chuckle or some sense of accomplishment if they've just had their anonymous username called out for any reason whatsoever, whether it's good or bad. Unfortunately, some of these people, that's all they've got. So let them have their fun. It's some of these people ultimately grow up and move on to big things and better things, but they have to actually want more than they're putting out. Many are starving to be heard. True. Yes. Are you going to be talking to the Theta peeps anytime soon? Yeah, I mean, I exchange emails with them on occasion. I'm not aware of any major updates to the platform just yet, so we'll have to see. But I am waiting. I am waiting for some things to happen on Theta, because I really would like to use the platform more regularly. Happy New Year to you too, Mido. I can't. My vision has been not so great over the past year or so. So it's hard to read some of the small. I don't even know if I can. Yeah, I can't even change the fonts or anything. Well, thank you, Evan. Egan, I appreciate it. Thoughts on proposed velvet fork between Litecoin and Cardano? I'll have to, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to write that up, because I haven't really heard much. Velvet fork, fork, Litecoin, and Cardano. Thank you for that note. I will look it up. Have you done your ATM video yet? No, I have not. I am in the final stages. Let me tell you, to find a bank to work with for a Bitcoin ATM is like finding a cure for cancer. It's crazy, but there is a new service. I'm not gonna lie, because of my status as a YouTuber, I've had some people reach out to me that ultimately connected me to this person, and I've down through the chain. And I found some people who are very, very big in the banking world and the finance world, like big time veterans, who've quite honestly helped me get some things situated. And one of them was a gentleman by the name of Andy, who is with a company called Bankline, who connected me with another company that's basically going to facilitate exactly what I need. And it's a new service that I'm going to actually help promote, I think, to some extent, to everybody out there that's wanting to start Bitcoin ATM businesses, and they don't plan on starting with $500,000 or more in monthly trade volume on their machines when they first launch, which is a requirement for some of these big companies that are actually willing to touch this kind of business. So, and there are a lot of steps. There's a lot of paperwork. There's a lot of, I've had to do just about everything outside of provide a blood sample to some of these groups, for like the whole AML, KYC, compliance. It's insane. It's truly crazy. But that video is coming soon. I want to wait until my ATMs are officially installed at locations, up, running, and done. And then from there, I'm going to do an entire video breaking down every step, and it will be the biggest, best ATM business video I think ever to hit YouTube. So, but it nothing good, like Cardano would say, nothing worth having is going to come overnight. So it's coming. So I'll let everybody know. All right. Thanks for doing all that you do to uplift the space. You are the salt of the earth. Happy 2021. Thank you, Jay Gray. I appreciate that. I staked 100,000 ADA because of Crow this year. Thank you, Alex. I appreciate that. Is an idea go-to banks that deal with check cashing business? I have a contact, Surety Bank. Well, thank you, Russell. I appreciate that. I think I've got it pretty well covered at this point. What's to stop the SEC from labeling Bitcoin a security, or rather every crypto out there? Nothing. I mean, they can say whatever they want. The SEC is a body that I think definitely picks their battles. But Ripple has definitely been one that's almost been kind of like a lot of bravado, a lot of come at us, we dare you, we're prepared. And the SEC's like, sure. I mean, you don't want to pick a fight with any government agency. You just don't. You don't want to. I don't know. It's like if a building is being robbed at gunpoint, you don't stand up and shout, me first. Like, it's just, if the SEC wants to come at you, they're going to come at you, and it doesn't necessarily mean that they're right or wrong. What it means is they have an argument, and if they have an argument, they definitely had the resources to fight it. It's really up to you to come up with the resources to prove them wrong and defend yourself. That is what the fight is about. Ripple is basically saying, we've got all that in spades, let's do this. And so we'll have to wait and see how it comes about. What happens? Are they going to end up settling? Or are they going to go to the very bitter end and wait for, I don't know what's going to happen, but it's definitely, I think at some point it's going to become one of the biggest cases in crypto. What's to stop the SEC from going after every crypto out there? Nothing. But I don't necessarily think they're going to do that, because for them to fight over 6,500 different cryptocurrency projects would be an impossibility. But what they will do is they will likely go after some of the biggest ones and try to establish precedent, so that precedent established from going after these big ones that actually have the money to pay the fines and all of this stuff associated with those cases. That's the thing. To go after a project to go after the small fish to some extent makes no sense for them, because that just makes them look like bullies who are going around picking on little people who can't defend themselves against the big bag machine. But to go after somebody like Ripple, that's definitely like two world champions coming together, and we're going to like, who's the best, right? And so however that case ends up is likely going to send a lot more precedence to a lot of the other cryptocurrency projects out there, especially the more centralized ones. So it's, I don't know. We'll have to see how that ends up, and I'm definitely interested, but I definitely don't plan on sticking around and waiting to see, how many exchanges shut off XRP. I don't want to see the liquidity dry up to a point where you can't even get out of the position if you wanted to, because this case is still pending and moving forward, and it could last 2, 3, 4 years. You just don't know. So thanks for the grow tip, Crow. Absolutely. Wow. You're welcome, randomized. FinCEN is going to track every transaction over 3K. Crypto Bud just did a video on it. January 4th, they're going to sneak it by us. Please put this out. Listen, I know that so many people want to hide their cryptocurrency transactions. And I understand that this is my mindset when it comes to cryptocurrency transactions and everything being tracked and taxation and so forth, especially right now. I know it sucks. I understand that. How do I put this? I'm not a fanboy of the government, right? I'm not a fanboy of all the pork that's being thrown into all these bills. I'm not a fan of how a lot of the stuff in politics is handled. I'm not a fan of what I consider legalized bribery and what do they call it? I forget the term. Anyway, it's like my head's in a different place right now, but we're lobbying, the lobbyist stuff, like all of this stuff. It's just a money grab in every way, shape, and form. And I'm not for all that. But I do feel safer to some degree in this country than I would in probably anywhere else. I feel that from a military perspective, I feel a little more secure against any potential invasion from bad actors. And I believe that some of the security and some of the freedoms, to be quite frank with you, that I do enjoy in this country have a price. I believe the price is very, very steep due to mismanagement and a lot of things that go on that I have no control over, which drive me nuts. I believe that the way we're taxed to hell in a handbasket is steep, and I don't like it. It does feel kind of like extortion to some degree. I feel strong-armed a lot of the time. However, I don't get into crypto, and I'm not into crypto to avoid it. I believe the systems should change. I think that the way things are handled should change, but I believe that it's all still so new. I don't care if the government tracks my cryptocurrency transactions. I'm not a drug dealer. I'm not a criminal, period. I'm not doing anything with my crypto that I'm not showing on my tax forms anyway. Because I don't want that call or that letter telling me, hey, we think you lied to us and we're going to ruin your life and prove it. I don't want to deal with that shit. It's not worth it. The money that we are all standing to make in the cryptocurrency markets right now is what I still consider many of us early adopters is going to far outweigh what we're going to be paying in the taxes that we have to pay because of it. We've been given an opportunity to change our lives. Why screw it up by being greedy? We don't have to agree with the way things are right now, but it is the way things are, and nothing each one of us does on an individual level is going to change any of that. And I am not at an age in my life where I want a fight. I will if I have to, but that is not how I want to spend my time. I would much rather just, okay, it is what it is. And until somebody mans up and gets into office, or we get people in office that are willing to put up that fight, listen, to me, it's going to take more than one person. It's going to take a large group of people to ultimately change the way things work. And that's not going to happen overnight. And it's not going to happen easily. Okay? You know, all of the riots and everything going on in the streets, that's not going to solve anything. That's not solving anything. So when I look at, oh, well, the government, FinCEN, they want to track us. Listen, everything you do is already tracked, whether you know it or not. The only difference is, what are you willing to give up, you know, to be able to access everybody in the world through social media? What are you willing to give up to access all of the tools that big tech has provided us and ultimately created a means for us to communicate with the world over in seconds at no cost? Remember the time when a cell phone call would cost you $2 a minute? Do you remember how much all of this new technology meant? I remember the first time I discovered the internet. I remembered the first time I discovered a lot of these new technologies. Hell, the first time I started up a 2600 baud modem on a Commodore 64 with the beep, 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 just to basically engage in BBS bulletins, and I thought it was the biggest thing I've ever seen. While I don't like or agree with the way a lot of this stuff is coming about and what is happening, it's not going to change. And as we enter this digital era where all money is digital, yes, it's all going to be tracked. That's fine. Don't do anything illegal. And I know that there are some people out there that say, oh, you say, oh, if you're not doing anything illegal, but that's just where it starts. Listen, this shit started eons ago. Eons ago. All right. So if we are truly heading into a digital era, this era of disruption, as I always call it, a lot of things are going to change. And some of those things you're not necessarily going to like. But if you think that the entire global economy is going to be on or adopt a new technology that further limits their ability to keep track of where money is flowing, you're crazy, because it's never going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So I would see, but I'm also kind of a purist, because I think to myself, I would love to think that if the government finds it much easier to track funds for taxation and the like, that they would ultimately lower the taxes for us, because they're saying, look, we're getting more because we're tracking things better. We have a better system to know where money is going and this and that. So therefore, we're going to reward everybody for this transparency by lowering taxes. That'll never happen. I mean, didn't Congress just put a $60,000 a year, $57,000 a year raise in one of these bills for themselves? You know what I mean? We're being ultimately ran by people that just they're not really there for us. And so, if anything, they're often there for their party, and they're there for each other. It's a buddy system. It's a give and take barter system. I'll give you this if you give me that. But it's very rarely about the people. The only thing that's really for the people are the things that these politicians believe will help get them reelected so they can maintain their seat in whatever office they're in to continue doing whatever they're doing to serve themselves. That's why I believe there should be no long-term politicians in our country. Any country. I don't believe we shouldn't have 50-year veterans in office pulling political strings. I think that's insane. But anyway, that's just how I feel. So, on that note, 53 minutes in. Hopefully I've spent some time. I've shared a lot of thoughts. Hopefully I didn't say anything or let anything come out that'll get this video pulled down. Hopefully I have no idea. That's the world we live in now. Anything you say can get you erased. And that's scary. And hopefully things get better in 2021. So until next time, guys, have a very, very safe and happy new year. Don't drink and drive. Keep your mask on, even if you don't like it. I know it sucks because I lived with one for a week in Miami, but it's what you got to do, even if it's for the people out there who haven't contracted it yet. Just keep safe. Play the game for now. Things will hopefully get better in the near future. Let's hope for a much better 2021 than we've had in 2020. Let's just try to focus on this new year as building wealth, building each other, and establishing a better unity amongst the people who are fighting against those who want to control us and make our lives less than they should be. Until next time, guys, thank you for joining me. I am the Crypto Crow. Happy New Year. I'll see you soon.